Hello and welcome to another episode of Yalla, the podcast of Jewish students brought to you by UJS. Thank you for joining us live from UJS Convention 2023, where this episode is being recorded. I'm Edmund, President of UJS, and I'm delighted to be joined by some incredible guests today to discuss Jewish student life outside the UK and Ireland. We are privileged to be joined by Judith and Katarina from the European Union of Jewish Students. And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So, should we begin by just discussing what Jewish student life is like in Europe and your various experiences as a student, both in the UK at various points and also in Europe and elsewhere, and what's that like? So, we'll start with Katarina. What's your Jewish student experience like?
So I had the privilege to study actually and be a student in 3 different countries. I started with my undergrad in Italy, and then I did part of my master in France, and now I'm currently a student at LSE, so here in the UK. And definitely I can say that these 3 experiences were absolutely, totally different. Going from Italy, I studied in Venice, where I was probably one of the few Jews in the whole university, so definitely zero Jewish life. Compared to what I had experienced in France, definitely being part of the Students' Union section of my university, where there was Jewish life, but definitely nothing was similar to the amazing structure of the JSOCs that we have here in the UK. And I'm very privileged to be a JSOC member of LSE, and I go every week, and I found it just something so amazing to have, and especially considering the period in which we are living, that having such a support system and group is something that I think is so unique and important for students from all around the world. And in fact, it was great to see how many students, especially after the 7th of October, started joining the JSOCs because they understood the importance of having such a proximity with other Jewish students.
And how about you, Judith?
So I had a bit of a different experience because I originally come from Germany and then I moved to the UK to study. So I came from a background where I didn't have so much like Jewish youth movements, or I didn't go to a Jewish school. So coming to the UK was very eye-opening in the sense that then I discovered, listening to Katarina, like the JSOCs and UJS, and I studied here for 5 years. And got involved through UJS, and I became JSOC president, and it was such a beautiful community that I discovered, and like also entered like the world of British Jewry, which was like an incredible experience that I don't think I would have had elsewhere.
And how do these experiences compare to what you know of European Jewish student life?
So I can start by saying that first of all, like UJS and just JSOCs in general have such a history that goes back, decades, and such institutionalized organizations such as this one. Like you have so many resources and the people, and everyone kind of like wants to get involved. Whereas around Europe, and what we're seeing now through our work is that a lot of the other countries are starting, where UJS was 100 years ago. Like we found unions all the time, a new one just started about 2 months ago. It was a Swedish one, yeah. And they maybe have like 20 members or something like that. So it's so different across the continent, where you have, the UK and France, which have so many students and like so much infrastructure, and then other ones which are starting, like now, like 5 years ago, even every year, we have new unions, and you see the varying experiences that students have through them, because they're trying to build local chapters and trying to build the community and the network that people have in the UK.
Yeah, I echo totally what Judy said, but also I think the different structures of the union really depends also on the amount of Jews that they have, because you go from countries like Italy that they have in total 27,000 Jews, so definitely it's very difficult for them to be some more like JSOC style or anyway regional chapters, because most of the Jews are actually concentrated in bigger cities like Milan and Rome, and very similar, for example, for Spain, where most Jews are in Barcelona and Madrid. So definitely I'd say this is usually the structures, and it's really the biggest difference, and definitely students, Jewish students in different campuses sometimes struggle more to lead their Judaism within the university, but they are really lucky to have other mechanisms that are in place throughout the different cities for Jewish students to live anywhere with Judaism.
Judith, best moment as JSOC president?
Very tricky question. I would say I had a really great time at the conference at the time, actually. The equivalent of what convention is now. I came with my whole committee, and as you see, the London unis don't send too many people usually, but I managed to get my whole committee to come. It was a really great weekend for us to bond and meet, other JSOCs and that sort of thing. I just don't know, it's been a few years, so there are great moments in our presidency.
And Katerina, best moment so far at LSE?
I must say that I have two of my favorites moment at the LSE JSOC. One is a very sad one, but very meaningful. So it was the first JSOC meeting after the 7th of October. So you could really see the struggle through which everyone was going, but just the fact that we were sitting together in a room was really already very helpful for everyone. And definitely also during one of our lunch and learns we had Rav Gav, but we started singing all together, and that was just such a fun moment. I loved it.
So should we move on to talk about what does EUJS do, and what are your roles at the organisation, at the union, and how we work together and what you guys like to do?
It's a great question. So both Katerina and I were vice presidents of EUJS. We were elected in our last GA, which was in August, and we're in the role for 2 years. And basically what we do as an organisation is we represent 36 national unions across Europe, which isn't just the EU, so UJS and other non-EU countries are included, representing a total of 160,000 Jewish students. And our work really ranges from the political side, which is a lot of representation, diplomacy, and the advocacy for Jewish students and Jewish youth across Europe, to partner organizations, institutions on governmental level and beyond, to providing for unions, providing seminars and educational programs. I want to let you extend as well.
No, exactly. So definitely I think our work is quite twofold in the end. We have the more institutional side, we are framework partners of the European Commission, so this gives us a lot of, in a sense, gives us very much also the power to be the seat with the European Commission to represent the voice of Jewish students, which is very much a privilege for us. But also, as Judith was saying very well, we also have more the advocacy side and activism side. We support unions through grants and seminars and training, supporting them in their activities. We have seminars, the more political one about activism at the European institutions and how to work with members of parliaments, to seminars about conspiracy theories, or great seminars about Holocaust remembrance and education with Yad Vashem. So we really try to have very wide variety of programs for everyone to make everyone feel included in what we call our EUJS family.
I just want to add on also, just at the community level, there's all the things that we especially offer, but then there's all the union work that we do also with helping the unions, build themselves and also connect with each other, because I think one of the greatest strengths is, we are this umbrella organization which connects a lot of the unions. So what we offer is the opportunity to meet students from other countries and, go to programs where they can connect to international students which might have similar experiences to them, but from other countries. So then there's obviously the flagship event, like Summer U, where you get together with 300 young European Jews and other Shabbatons, and support individual unions and inviting people to their country and just broadening their network.
And how did you both get involved with the UJS?
So, very funny, I did my first EUJS seminar. It was the EU Activism Seminar in Brussels, because my Madricha Taglit started working for EUJS. So she knew I was interested in the EU, and so she told me, Katerina, there is this very interesting seminar, why you don't give it a look? And so I joined, and since then I never left. It was in 2019, and since then I did all the EUJS seminar code. I was policy officer for 1 year before starting my master, and then I wanted really to stay involved, so I ran for vice presidency. So it's very much a love. I've been very much a UJS nerd in that sense.
Yeah, I would relate to that. I think my first experience was kind of by chance. I happened to go to a Shabbaton in Paris, which was organized by the French Union, which was their like big international Shabbaton. And there was a very small group coming from the UK, and I happened to like come off the wait list and go like last minute. And that was my first introduction to like the international scene, and I just really fell in love with it. And afterwards, I applied to be a maker for SUMMY, which is like the volunteer group that runs the big summer university event. And that's when I really got introduced to the wider network, and I really felt like it became like a family for me. I came out of that summer with like 14 new best friends, and then I've just stayed involved ever since. Decided to run this summer.
And how stressful were the elections to get the various roles?
Well, you were there when I first decided to run. So first
Medium level stress to begin with?
No, but your support definitely helped. But I mean, I think with any election, it's always a little stressful, a little disorienting, but ultimately, it's the will to contribute that is the reason that we both ran and both decided to go for it.
Yeah. Also, because I must say that we could really see it in this election of this August how UJS is growing, because there was a really huge number of candidates, all super strong, activists, very engaged. So it was really tough. But I think now we have an amazing board, so we are very, very excited to work with, together with Emma, the president.
And what has EUJS been up to in the past few weeks and months?
So, of course, I think we've been up to what all Jewish organizations were up to, unfortunately. So what we decided, we put in place were very much of a support system for university students, because not all in Europe, unfortunately, not all the unions have the same capacity that UJS had, for example, to really be there for the students. So we started sending off letters to university administration to support the students, and also, also work a lot with the Youth Forum, which is the sort of umbrella organization for European students' organizations, to look for allyship and support in such difficult times. Inviting everyone to really support the Jewish students, because everyone is going also, unfortunately, for a very rough time. But in a sense, we also, keep the work of EUJS keep going on. We're going to have a presidents unite in December, where we actually gather all the presidents from the main Jewish students' union across Europe, and that's really a great chance for an exchange of best practice and keeping up to date with the activities of everyone. So that's definitely also very, very, very important.
Going off of kind of the letters and the contacts with the administrations of the student unions that we're doing, we also using this momentum to now start pushing for IRA adoption across campuses and across universities, which is something that unfortunately isn't as advanced as it is in the UK. And I was here for the time when UJS was really pushing for it, and when it wasn't the case. And now you're in a great privileged position to have so many institutions adopting IRA, but across Europe, unfortunately, it's not so popular yet, and we're working on that, and continuing now with also the statistics and the reports that we've collected about anti-Semitism and everything that's happened since to really push for that. And I think one great thing which we've launched recently was a report on diversity, which UJS has started as of this year to employ a diversity, equality and inclusion officer who has worked exclusively on that subject and conducted a really wide-ranging study across all unions. And we've just launched a report really outlining what the situation is across Europe, and it's fascinating. We're continuing to do that work across all unions.
And what is the situation?
Which country are you addressing? It really depends on the size of the union, on the political orientation of the country, and seeing what the resources are for each union, how much they're able to invest in the subject.
Definitely, and also in that sense, we saw how there is, in that sense, in Jewish spaces, more inclusion on a European level of also, Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews, and that's something that we really saw in the last years, especially with the war. We've seen a lot of, people denying the the existence of Jews from Arab countries. So we're planning hopefully for May seminar for MENA Jews to be able to give them the tool to actually and train them on how to better, tell this story, emphasize and push this narrative more forward.
And how do you see the IRA campaign materialising?
You mean now across European campuses?
Yeah, as in what's the scope of it, what you're trying to achieve out of the IRA, what time scale?
So at the moment we're starting with 3 countries. We're focusing on the Netherlands, Spain and France, which are some countries that have been the most severely affected by anti-Semitic incidents now since 7th of October. And we're trying to basically address the issue there first, go to the campuses. We have local teams from the unions running this obviously, but they're in conjunction with us, with our support, and we're having every step of the way to go really on each campus, go to the administration, push for it, and then also deal with problematic professors and educators and that sort of thing. And hopefully once we're making progress on those campuses and those institutions across the 3 countries, we can then extend and learn from the successes and mistakes that we made through that.
Sounds amazing. How can Jewish students in the UK and Ireland get involved with EUJS?
So glad you asked.
Thank you for the question. So all the seminars of EUJS are open to our members union. So of course UK students and Irish students are absolutely invited to join. I would actually guys much more view to our programs and seminars. So we're gonna have, we just released our 5th edition of The Bridge, which is our pan-European magazine, and every edition has a different topic, and we invite, not just writers, but also drawers or photographers to actually send us their material, and we are very happy to publish it, related to the theme of that edition. And the next one is probably going to be released in June, so soon we will open applications for that. Also, we're going to have at the end of March a seminar in Brussels related to EU advocacy. This might seem maybe less relatable for you because it's something very directly connected to the European institutions. I still believe it would be great to have some British students because in that sense we just don't give you the chance to connect to such policymakers, but in that sense we also want to give you the tools to learn how to relate to members of parliament or wider policymakers from bigger institutions and connect you with so many Jewish organizations that have their headquarters in Brussels. So I think this would be also another very, very good opportunity.
I think also, as you mentioned, we have the MENA seminar coming up, and I think there's various events and seminars that also pop up during the year. Such as, I want to just promote Summer You again because that's something where we're always looking for new volunteers and makers, which
You want to add some dates and application deadlines in there as well?
Well, so the exact dates and location of Summer You on definitely, usually in August, but around March I think we're going to open.
Even February.
February?
Yeah.
We're going to open.
Let's say February is to be safe. Better safe than sorry. Usually mid-February is when we open applications for volunteers, and I think that's really a great opportunity because being a participant and having some British participants is awesome, but really also having people more in the team is a really added value because they can really actually get a chance to connect very strongly with Jews from very active Jews, especially very engaged people from all other countries, creating a very, very strong bond.
Turning to the current situation on campus, I'm sure you've heard about what's going on in the UK and the unprecedented rise in anti-Semitism that we're seeing. What's the current situation you guys see on campuses across Europe?
Well, devastating, unfortunately. It is, it obviously varies from country to country. Right now we're seeing some specific hotspots across campuses, across different countries where some universities have adopted IRA, doing anti-Semitism training, that sort of thing, and then you have the other side where you have professors and students signing open letters to support BDS and support resistance by Hamas and that sort of thing. We've seen it, especially I would say Leiden University, Amsterdam University, Central European University in Vienna, where the anti-Semitic incidents are just insanely severe and not taken seriously by the administration, regardless of how we've contacted them, regardless of the press coverage that they've had, and it's just not a safe place for students to be in, and it's really terrifying for those students out there.
Yeah, just what I think it unfortunately, as many other situations similar that we had like in May 2021, the trend is very similar. So we have usually Western European countries that are usually the worst, as just Judith mentioned, and while we have Central and Eastern European countries that are usually better or at least safer for students or the campuses where at least definitely anti-Semitic events happen, but definitely there is not the same feeling of danger that maybe many students feel in the UK, Netherlands, or Spain or Italy right now.
And how are you dealing with those various incidents that we're seeing on campuses across Europe?
So, at the beginning it was kind of a blanket approach, I assume it was also in the UK when we, reached out to all universities immediately and tried to get them to sign these letters and that sort of thing, but then as the incidents occurred and we're getting more and more reports of anti-Semitism, we're really going, campus by campus, seeing what we can do, who we can reach out to, and what they're willing to work on, basically. So it really depends. For some of them, it is work to set up meetings with them and discuss with them. And sometimes it's a case of ignorance on the part of the administration where they just don't know what actions to take, and once we give them the action items, they can actually enforce them. Sometimes it hasn't worked, and they are blandly denying anti-Semitism at their institutions, denying what has happened, and denying any sort of anti-Semitic claims when clearly students are suffering there. We're seeing a lot of examples of condemning anti-Semitism alongside Islamophobia, which are two separate issues which we need to tackle, but it isn't helping Jewish students right now to put them in the same bucket.
Yeah, and also something that we saw and we understood is extremely important is reporting. We say to all our students, report, because without actual factual evidences and reports from students from all around Europe, it's difficult for us to actually be able to go to policymakers. So we were very glad to put up a full report with anti-Semitic events from all around Europe, and we brought this to the European Commission, and we showed that, you see, this is what's happening in your countries. You must do something about it because students feel very unsafe, and this really helps. And this is something that we exhorted also our students' union to put up a sort of report mechanism so that if something happens, students can fill out a Google form or an Excel form or anything that can help them gather all the information so that there is also much more schematic and fast way to then react.
Final question from me before turning to a couple of questions from the audience. If you could go to any JSOC in the UK and Ireland, which one would it be and why?
You start because I have my answer ready.
So I'm very new in that sense. I moved to the UK not even 2 months ago, so definitely.
Do you want some options?
I don't know. I think it would be very interesting maybe to go to. I would be very interested to go to Scotland, maybe Edinburgh, because I feel like all the that's of course my understanding till now. All the JSONs around London and in the southern part of the UK are there is still quite a connection, and there is not such a wide distance. While I don't know, sometimes I perceive maybe some in Scotland very up north, so maybe there's also that silly feeling of isolation. So I would be very interested to go there and actually see how is the situation there as Jewish students, and also because I'd really love to visit Edinburgh because it's a very good city.
I must say though, we've got the president of Durham JSOC in the room, so you must make sure to stop off at Durham on the train on the way to Edinburgh, because I got in trouble a few times already this year, having gone straight through Durham, waved on the train through the window and not seen any Jewish students there. So don't make the same mistake as me, and also go via Durham as well.
I will.
I
Judith?
always say I went to King's and to Cambridge, and out of the two, I think my JSOC experience. I love being on campus, like campus union, I love being in Cambridge. But if I could choose again, I think I'd love to experience what it's like to be in a big uni, like Birmingham, and just see what it's like to live in like a hill house and that sort of thing. And just really, I don't know, my sister went to Birmingham, so I've always seen that from afar, and just always envy people people with so many Jewish friends.
Amazing. We've got time to take one or two quick questions from the audience, if there are any, and then we'll move on to quickfire, and then we will sum up. So, any quick questions from our live audience here at UJS Convention 2023? Sam Kramer in the front row, Chair of UJS National Council. Please shout your question. I'll repeat it anyways for the people listening at home.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that UK Jewish students have about European Jewish students?
What a phenomenal question. To repeat for those listening at home, what is the biggest misconception that British Jewish students hold about European Jewish students?
I mean, the first thing that just screamed at me from the phrasing of that question is that British students don't consider themselves European students, which is the first, biggest misconception ever. And I remember when I started getting involved with UJS, I was still a student in the UK, and when I would tell people about all the events and the cool initiatives I was involved with with UJS, people were always like, "Wow, that's so cool, why don't I go to that?" And well, you just don't know about it. So I think the biggest misconception is that it's just so removed and so unattainable, but really, everything that we do, everything that other European students do from campuses across Europe, you can get involved the same way. There's nothing stopping you.
Definitely. I definitely echo that, and I agree, and I understand that many times distance, being literally an island, can sometimes be a struggle, but we would like to remind that we really represent Jews from all Europe, including Turkey, Russia, and whatever. So
they come to events too.
Exactly.
They travel more than 3 hours to campus.
Exactly. We had a lot of Turkish students coming lately, so the water shouldn't stop you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Sam, for that question. We've got a question from the president of JSOC, Sammy Burkle. Please shout a question nice and loudly.
It's like a follow-up. How do you think we can get British Jewish students to find out more about UJS, and how can we work with them?
How can we get British Jewish students to find out more about EUJS and get more involved?
I think it goes two ways. I think one, it needs to come bottom up and top down. So one is, obviously us working together with UJS and UJS promoting our programs to you guys and promoting the JSOC and students, because I think what we need to remember is that we're not replacing UJS, we're not competing with it. We're a different sort of organization which offers other opportunities and a wider network that students in the UK can tap into. And so that's, I think, one thing. And then the other thing is obviously, fostering kind of more European identity across Jewish youth in general in the UK. I think that's something incredibly difficult since Brexit. That's not necessarily a Jewish problem. That's a problem, with wider society. Needs to be handled through other programs anyway, but UJS is one of the ways to bridge that gap.
Definitely, and also think, first of all, something very, very basic, which is following us on social media, because it might seem very stupid, but we actually publish everything we do over there. So, you might, while you're scrolling your Instagram, you might bump into our, become a writer of the bridge, and you'll maybe actually write writing, and throughout such a, basic opportunity, you might actually get to reach a wider network, especially if you have something to say. And, I'm sure Aleph is amazing magazine.
It is.
I'm sure. I read it. We found it on our bed coming to the convention. No, but for real, it also gives you have to see it also not just as an opportunity to summer, to also meet a wider network, which I just think that would be worth it, just meeting Jews from all around the world, and it's really exciting and awesome. But also as another way to make your voice heard even more beyond the borders of the UK and Ireland, and enrich your Jewish identity, because speaking with Jewish students from Croatia, there can be a really great exchange of practices and opinion, and some issues that they are facing that you never thought of. You can suggest them on how to face them and stay in place, and way vice versa. Maybe they can also support you in some struggles that maybe you see more in your JSOCs, for example.
Thank you so much. We're now going to move on to the quickfire questions. So just quick one-word answers from both of you, please. And the first one is the biggest role model.
Okay, to go first. So I must say that one. Oh, sorry.
And you're out of time.
Okay, so Rita Levi-Montalcini, she's an Italian Jewish scientist. She won the Nobel Prize for Medicine, and she's an Holocaust survivor. And she was just a really, really great example of an Italian Jewish woman that I think became a leading example for the country.
I have to think about this one, and I'm going to say my sister, because my older sister, Esther, shout out, she's the one who got me involved in student activism and beyond, so I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing without her.
And she used to be UJS
Oh,
president.
UJS president. Last time I was here, she was running this convention.
Forever in her shadow. Favourite Jewish food? Well, I should say I'm forever in her shadow, not you.
Oh, God, well...
It doesn't help with my greatest self. Anyways, favourite Jewish food?
Kayla.
Challah, I'm basic.
Pizza or pasta? Definitely not targeted.
Oh, come on. Pasta, you can get so many different types.
Pasta because I'm lactose intolerant.
Favourite Jewish festival?
Purim.
Rosh Hashanah.
Amazing. Well, I think we're going to bring this recording to a close. Thank you so much to Catalina and to Judith from the European Union of Jewish Students for joining us here all weekend, all Shabbos at UJS Convention 2023. It's an absolute honour and privilege to be working with you both. You're both a phenomenal example to all of us in amazing Jewish student leadership, and we cannot wait to welcome you back to convention. But in the meantime, we hope that we have many sign-ups from all of you here today and all those listening to EUJS events, Summer U, Union Accelerators, amongst so much more. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.